Hello, this is Dr. Wyatt Cox. Hey, I appreciate you tuning in to this PowerPoint video. I'm going to be talking about a very important topic, one I've spoken on before. I'm going to be talking about the UFO phenomenon and specifically how the UFO phenomenon, the part that is about alien contact and alien abduction part of the UFO phenomenon, what it really is and what it isn't. I believe that the UFO phenomenon involving aliens is real. It's very real, and it's a topic that too many times we have not confronted as Christian people. And I want to talk about that and give you some information, share some evidence with you. And I think the evidence is overwhelming, and to share some things about the Bible, and just to share some things about what this phenomenon really is all about. And it's probably going to be startling to some folks that watch this. I think it's really important, but I think the Bible has a lot of good answers on this topic. And I'd be glad to hear from you at Wyatt Cox, WYATTCOX, at gmx.com. You can also go to my website, wyattcox.com, or you can reach me at 864-617-7637. I'd be glad to hear from you. And I'll go ahead and get started with this topic, but about UFO aliens, what are they? And my topic or title for the topic here are UFO aliens really demons in disguise? And that's going to be my assertion that they are. And in order for me to demonstrate that, I've got to show some evidence. I've got to show really what the Bible says about it, that the Christians, this is where I go to. But the evidence is just strictly overwhelming, I think, for that. Now, you can see dozens and dozens, hundreds of books and things like that have been out on this, previous about UFOs or UFOs, the aliens, somehow the Bible connected to it. Here's some titles of the books here. One book called An Alien Called Jesus Christ. Another book, Outer Space Aliens in the Holy Bible. And it just goes on and on, Outer Space and the Truth About Aliens from the Bible is a book that came out a few years ago. So many books have been written about this, and most of them contain a lot of fiction. They don't contain a lot of facts, it seems like to me. So I think this is a real issue, and the Bible does confirm that demons are actually masquerading as UFO aliens. And this is kind of a scary thought, because if it's true, I mean, why are they doing it? What's their purpose? What's their agenda? And I want to talk a little bit about that. So we're going to get started with this, but the basic message that the aliens present from their UFOs when they contact people or abduct people, and there's a difference between contactee and abductee. A contactee is someone who is quote unquote chosen to be their spokesperson. An abductee is someone taken basically through non-consensual means and then examined, interrogated, whatever, and then released. So basically these aliens have a reoccurring theme. They do not portray Jesus as God's son, who came to earth as God's son and died on the cross and resurrected as our Savior. They deny that, or they just simply don't talk about it, but if they did, they would deny it. And this is consistent through the phenomenon here involving aliens. And I would think that if anything, they would be truthful and make that claim that, yes, Jesus Christ is the Son of God, but they will not do that. And then there are people that write about this, talk about this, and they're getting some of their information from the aliens themselves, saying that Jesus was an alien. He was from an advanced, evolved race of people and came here to help us and give us wisdom, but, we killed him and that kind of thing. It's a reoccurring theme. And maybe another talk on this, another lesson on this particular topic, because there's a lot of information out there just on that point. Jesus Christ is portrayed as the alien who came to earth, so, we can just be enlightened. We're space brothers, we're whatever. And this is the reoccurring thing, but is it true? If it is true, then where's the evidence for that? If it's not true, then where's the evidence for that? And I believe I'm going to be showing the evidence that the aliens' claims are just outright false. First, I want to just talk a little bit about the biblical support. As a Christian, I go to the Bible and for a lot of my support, because what do the scriptures really say? Well, the Bible does say, without any doubt, and I think we know this, that there's two realms of reality. And one is the physical, and the other is the non-physical, or the spiritual. Um, the spiritual realm is populated with beings that have a keen interest in the affairs of people. And we see that throughout history, either as a Christian or non-Christian. You go back and look at the ancient literature, uh, and we find these spirit beings throughout human history. They're not humans, but they come from the spirit world. And now in today's society, our modern times, they're still doing the same thing, but they're coming with a different disguise, a different masquerade, and they're using what would fit into our society, and that would be technology-based masquerades. And this technology masquerading would include UFOs. And that's kind of part of the premise here. But other biblical support, there's no reference in the Bible to suggest there's advanced biological beings or humanoid beings anywhere on any of the other planets. Earth is the only planet where we find any biblical support that there's physical beings living there. And there's all kinds of references, many references, dozens that angels are these demons or fallen angels or unholy angels. They at one time were holy and chose to rebel against God. And but it's dozens of references about how these fallen angels or demons are involved in activities on Earth, and they are keenly aware or interested. They're keenly aware of human activities, but they're keenly interested in involving humans in their activities, and we see that recorded in the Bible. These fallen angels routinely employ various strategies and methods, and this is part of it. What are their strategies? What are their methods? And I believe one of that is the UFO phenomenon. There's many others, but one of it is that this is a great way to trick and deceive and distract people from the truth, and to have them be gullible and to believe what is false. And the reason for that is to really to thwart God's plans for humanity and to bring misery and even destruction among people. So it's a very serious topic. So why do I accept the demonic origins explanation? And there's reasons for that, specific reasons for that. One, we know from 1 Peter and other passages in the Bible, chapter 5, verse 8 and 9, and many others, we know that demons are simply real. There is no way to read the Bible and come up with a different answer to that or a different viewpoint on that. And you look at the history of religious literature, you look at the history of just literature in general, and we see where these spirit beings have always existed alongside humanity. And the Bible just bears that out real clear. They have their keen interest in the affairs of humans, Romans chapter 8, but so many other passages as well. It would take quite a bit of time to go through each verse because there's so many. But suffice to say that the demons are here on earth and they are interested in what you do and what I do, the affairs of humans. The demons and angels have remarkable abilities or powers. And we see this not only in the Bible, we see this in other literature, ancient literature. We even see it today because the angels are still involved in our affairs. But demons are able to manipulate time. They're able to manipulate energy and even information itself, and to produce the visible and actionable phenomena in our own world. And that'd be Matthew 24, verse 24. Would be a really good verse or passage to go to and to see how Satan was able to manipulate time and energy and information in that one passage there, that one example. Demons often employ masquerades. That's a word we find in the Bible, 2 Corinthians 11:14. And this masquerade word is really a useful, it's an important word. It means basically what you would see. Your eyes would actually experience the deception. It's something pretending to be something else. It's a masquerade, and it's to deceive you. It's to trick you. It's not to benefit you. It's to do the opposite. And non-Christians themselves, non-Christian UFO researchers absolutely reject the extraterrestrial hypothesis. John Keel You can Google him. Not a Christian, as far as I know, and passed away a few years ago. Totally against the ETH theory and believed that it was spirit beings involved in this. Alan Hynek, a pioneer in UFO research, uh, gave up on the ETH viewpoint, saying that just the evidence simply wasn't there, but the UFO phenomenon was real, he believed. And he even thought we had to look closer to Earth to find the solution to this. And Jacques Vallée, um, he is right now doing more speaking and research on this. He's been around for quite some time, one of the pioneers on UFO research. Also not a Christian, as far as I know. He absolutely rejects the idea that the UFO occupants or aliens are actually from other planets. He just believes the evidence just does not support that. So what are some of the non-biblical reasons I reject the extraterrestrial hypothesis? Well, there are several. A few here. There's no evidence that there is advanced humanoid life on other planets. We have no evidence of that. There's a lot of planets out there. There's none that's been found that would be like Earth, and there's just simply no evidence that there's any kind of life out there, much less advanced life and much less advanced humanoid type of life that could possibly relocate to other planets. It's just no evidence for that. If there are advanced humanoid life on other planets, and we have no evidence, they possess advanced technology. So if we assume for a moment there is right now advanced humanoid life on other planets, does that mean they have advanced technology? Well, we don't have any evidence of that either. One doesn't necessarily mean the one doesn't mean the other. You got to have something beyond. Even if you gave the assumption some credibility that there's life on other planets, that doesn't mean they have technology. And some people theorize that if, again, it's a big if, hypothetically, if there are advanced humanoid life on other planets, they may be so sophisticated, so advanced that they've simply so-called outgrown some of these primitive urges to explore other planets. They're just not interested in coming here. They've outgrown that. We like to think that advanced societies would be out there exploring and all that, but again, that's an assumption we make, and there's no evidence to suggest that that advanced cultures and advanced people, much more advanced than us, would have that urge to do so. That's possible, hypothetically, if you're going to talk about if there are advanced humanoid life on other planets. It's also possible they don't want to be detected by other beings. They simply want to be left alone. So why would they come here? What would drive them here? I mean, is it not even possible they just want to be left alone because they don't want to be contaminated? They don't want wars and cultural upheavals and stuff like that. So there's some people argue that point. And there's another point. If there are advanced humanoid life on other planets, how would they even know Earth even existed? I mean, they're so far away. We're one tiny little planet, millions or billions of light years away. How would they even know we existed? And there's some galaxies that have so many stars in their galaxy. The star density is so great that at nighttime it wouldn't even appear to be nighttime, according to our way of looking at it. It'd be so much light at nighttime, it still look almost like daylight because of the so many stars are in their galaxy producing so much light that it would be impossible. I mean, actually impossible to know for sure if there was even another galaxy that even existed outside of that particular one, much less they'd have an urge to go to it when they had all those other stars in their own system. So there are just a lot of reasons to reject the ETH viewpoint. I mentioned John Keel. You can Google him, or he's written so many things back in the 1960s and 70s and 80s. A great pioneer in the UFO research field. And as far as I know, he's not a Christian, never claimed to be. But here's what he said in the book Operation Trojan Horse. He said the UFO manifestations seem to be, by and large, merely minor variations of the age-old demonological phenomenon. Operation Trojan Horse, page 299. So here's a non-Christian saying it, who's done quite a bit of study on this. This is his conclusion. I mentioned Dr. Jacques Vallée. He had a PhD in computer science, master's in physics. He's a genuine credentialed scientist and a pioneer in UFO research. One of his popular books is this one you see here, and you can see how he's even portraying the masquerade part of this. And he's not a Christian. He's never claimed that I know of to be a Christian. And he also realizes these so-called UFO aliens are not beings from other planets, but they are other beings from an interdimensional whatever reality he's claiming, coming here to change our culture and our society. But he even picks up on this in a strong way. And he says here, in one of his own quotes here, he says, "We are dealing with a yet unrecognized level of consciousness, independent of man, but closely linked to Earth. I do not believe anymore that UFOs are simply spacecraft of some race of extraterrestrial visitors. This notion is too simplistic to explain their appearance, the frequency of their manifestations through recorded history, and the structure of the information exchanged with them during contact." So he's just saying this is a too simplistic answer for the UFO phenomenon. He goes on to say, Dr. Vallée does, "The medical examination to which abductees are said to be subjected, often accompanied by sadistic sexual manipulation, is reminiscent of the medieval tales of encounters with demons. It makes no sense in a sophisticated or technical framework any intelligent being equipped with the scientific marvels that UFOs possess would be in a position to achieve any of these alleged scientific objectives in a shorter time and with fewer risk." In other words, these aliens, when they abduct someone and perform these so-called examinations, they use obvious and extraordinary crude and primitive ways of conducting their work. And how can that be when they have a spaceship that can travel light years in a few seconds or whatever? How come their examinations are so primitive? And this bothered him quite a bit. He goes on to say, Dr. Vallée, he gives 5 reasons that contradict the extraterrestrial hypothesis. His are, and this here's a guy who's not even a Christian. He said the unexplained close encounters are far more numerous than required for any physical survey of the Earth. The humanoid body structure of the alleged aliens is not likely to have originated on another planet and is not biologically adapted to space travel. The reported behavior in thousands of abduction reports contradicts the hypothesis of genetic or scientific experimentation on humanoid advanced races. And then he concludes by saying, the extensions of the phenomenon throughout recorded human history demonstrate that UFOs are not a contemporary phenomenon, and the apparent ability of UFOs to manipulate space and time suggests radically different and richer alternatives. So here's Dr. Vallée rejecting the extraterrestrial viewpoint as a scientist. So now I'll move on to a man named Aleister Crowley, who back in the around 1900, he was a Satanist, he was a cult practitioner, kind of a bad guy, and he was so much dabbled into witchcraft and Satanism and things. He even said he made contact with a spirit guide of some sort, a spirit being, and he drew a picture of this, or a sketch of this spirit being that he came in contact with, apparently different times, and exchanged information with this spirit being. If you look, basically, it doesn't take much of an imagination to realize a lot of the alien pictures from UFOs that people make sketches of are not that far different at all than what Crowley sketched himself. There's a tremendous close resemblance to that. And you can look closer into this. You can do your internet searches and look over and over and over, and you'll see alleged alien sketches made by different people, and they look a little similar to what Crowley claimed he saw. And this is kind of throughout the UFO literature. The abilities of demons or devils, and they possess the same identical abilities as the UFO aliens do. I mean, there's really, if you look at the two, if you look at these as separate entities or beings, and you look at their abilities and powers, they're the same. They really are the same. So might be something to think about with that too. Uh, so what can angels do? They can manipulate energy, as I mentioned. They can manipulate time, information, and they communicate with humans. Uh, they can do this. UFO aliens do this too. And this means something very specific and very important. One is they can affect a person's physical health. If you got that kind of power and ability, it can affect a person's mental health. You can affect the behavior of animals. You can actually they can modify local weather conditions. You know, the Bible talks about angels being able to do that. You read the book of Revelation, other passages in Scripture go into that. Temporarily produce physical phenomena. If you look at the book of Job, you look at how the chief of all the demons, Satan, produced certain weather conditions, meteorological conditions that impacted a man named Job. And if you look in the book of Revelations, you see angels, good and bad, affecting physical phenomena. And this means they can appear to be something they're not, and with the intent to deceive. They can masquerade. They can actually change into a temporary physical appearance, a physical reality. And they can instantly appear and disappear. And they can even communicate non-verbally, like with telepathy or dreams or visions. So this thing about manipulating time I mentioned, can they manipulate time? Aliens can do this. Demons can do it. In Luke 4, chapter 5, it says, and the devil, taking him, as Jesus, up to a high mountain, showed him unto all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. Showed him multiple kingdoms in a moment of time. How can you do that unless you manipulate time? And also you can look in Luke chapter 4, verse 9, and you'll find a similar incident as well. So manipulation of time, aliens and demons are able to do that. It appear to be something they're not. 2 Corinthians 11, 13, 14 says, and marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if this ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. And the word transform is where we get the word masquerade. It's got to be physically observed. It means your eyes have got to respond to it, your ears. I mean, it's a physical reaction because it's in the physical world. And something appears to be something far different in order to deceive. That's what masquerade means here in 2 Corinthians. Now, talking about the physical phenomena, look at Matthew 24, 24. It says here, for there shall arise false Christ, false prophets, and show great signs and wonders, and so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. In Revelation, the last book in the Bible, for they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to battle of that great day of God Almighty. So they can change physical phenomena. They can perform miracles as we understand miracles. And a miracle is something that in a sense, has violated or someone who has manipulated time, energy, and information in the physical realm. Modify weather conditions. I mentioned in Job, and it says here in chapter 1, and behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the four corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. I am alone to tell thee. You need to read all of chapter 1 for that. Chapter 1 starts off with the devil having a communication with God about tempting Job, putting him under some stress and tests. And this is one of the tests that the devil did. And God gave Satan the permission to do it. He already had the power. He had to give him permission. Can affect a person's mental health. Look at Mark chapter 9. And 21 and 22 for the verses, and he asked his father, how long is it since this unto him? And he said, of a child, and oft times it hath cased him, I think the words be cased him into the fire, and into the waters to destroy him. But if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Here's a verse it's talking about a boy that's had a lot of problems with his mental condition, and it happened since he was a child. And if you read here in Mark chapter 9, you will find Jesus says the problem, what to call it, is it's of a demon, it's of a devil. Back to Job again about physical health. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord and smote the soul into his crown. That's referring back to Job, the man named Job. Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with physical health problems. And Luke 13, verse 6, in the New Testament, and ought not this woman being a daughter of Abraham, who Satan had bound, lo, these 18 years be loosed from the bond on the seventh day? Even Jesus knew in this case, physical health of this woman had to do with what Satan was doing to her. So these demons have these abilities to manipulate energy, time, and matter, affecting behaviors of animals in Mark chapter 5. And all the devils besought him, saying, us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Jesus gave them leave. And the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. There were about 2,000 and were choked into the sea. Devils can affect the behavior of animals. And UFO aliens and demons, their abilities. As I mentioned, they affect time, energy, and information itself. And the purpose of all this, so there's got to be a purpose to it. If they're doing this, if it's correct, the aliens are doing this, or aliens or demons in the skies are doing this. So demons are doing this as aliens. I mean, they got to have a purpose. They got to have an agenda. So what could it possibly be? Well, it doesn't take a Christian to figure this out. Jacques Vallée did it as well. It's got to alter our perceptions of God and our created purposes. And that's one thing they're trying to do. Alter your perceptions of God. And trying to distract and deceive. Part of it's a distraction issue, but part of it's a deception. So simply we won't believe the truth. And consequently, to distract and deceive, so we'll believe what's false. We're going to substitute the truth for what's false. And then to ultimately not only reject Christianity, but to be hostile towards it. And last, to set up a society where demonic forces themselves are in control. They may be masquerading as aliens, but it's to set up a society where demons are in control. How will they deceive the masses? I've mentioned perform signs and wonders. Some people think demons and can't do that, but yeah, the Bible's clear on that they can. And they do so in a way that incorporates some truth. It's not 100% lies. This is what good liars do. They put a little bit of truth in there and a whole lot of lie, but they put something in there that's probably true. And then they masquerade. If they came forth and said, I'm a devil, you wouldn't want to have anything to do with it. But if you came forth and said, they're a space alien and they want to help you or something, and then people want to hear that. So what can we do? Realize that demons are responsible for the UFO alien phenomenon, and they are, I think. Understand their agenda is evil. Even if you don't understand all the details about it, you got to understand the agenda itself is bad, it's wrong, it's evil. And understand their agenda can only be accomplished through deception and lies. That's the only way they can do it. And this has been going on for a long, long time with these demons and devils. Realize their attempt to thwart God's divine plan will fail. God is still in control. God is still in charge. God's got the devil on a short leash. He is letting people make their own choices. He is letting people decide to follow God or not to follow God. And he's going to let them choose. It's always a free willing choice. And if you choose not to, then there's got to be something to go to instead. And God's letting folks to make up their own mind on this. If they want to be deceived, they want to go towards evil and not good, they can choose that. God doesn't want that, but he allows people to make their own choices. But we got to realize that ultimately these demons are going to fail. Satan is going to fail. Lastly, we can educate others about this diabolical scheme. I mean, we need to educate and tell people about this and not be passive about it and say, well, it's just UFO. It's not a big deal. Yeah, it really is. It really is a big deal. So I'll conclude with this. UFO aliens are not from other planets. Simply the evidence suggests that. The Bible suggests that. It's just simply the evidence is against that. There's no UFO aliens going to be attacking Earth. People are worried about, are we going to be attacked by aliens? Not going to happen, folks. It will not happen. There will be no UFO aliens coming to save us either. Some people are thinking that, we're going to blow ourselves up. We're going to, do bad things, and they're going to come and save us. And it's in our psychology to think that there could be bad or good. And so we're thinking, some of us are, that, or some of other folks are, that UFO aliens may be coming to rescue us from ourselves. Well, not going to happen. We are in a spiritual warfare with Satan and his demonic underlings. We are. It's active. It's real. It's intense. And it's behind the scenes, most of it, but not all of it. Part of it is those masquerades. So our focus is to be on God. So I just end with this. Be wise. Be alert. Study the Bible. You will find so many answers in the Bible. And praise God that He is in control. And I thank you for watching this PowerPoint video. I'll be glad to hear from you at WYATTCOX@gmx.com. You can go to my website, whitecox.com. And thank you for watching this PowerPoint video.